Welcome to Ready to be Romanced. I'm Tori.
I'm Denise.
And today we're discussing
Praise.
Oh my God, welcome back to the podcast. Thank you so much for coming on.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much for having me. I'm a regular listener.
Thank you.
And thank you for this book especially. I'm very happy to be here to talk about this literature.
I'm so glad. Literature. I texted Denise and I just was like, oh, I just want to check in. Like, how's the book going? Because you never know. It's like if you commit to reading a book for a pod, like, you know, a month, 6 weeks out, like, you want to do a check-in midway. And so I was like, how's the book going? She goes, oh, I've read, 5 of 6 of the series?
I think I read the 3. There's like 3 more that I read.
Okay.
And she did keep a lot of the characters. Like, it's...
Yes, it's literally the owners.
Yeah, it's all, like, you meet the characters and everything. I didn't read them because I thought they were good, but I couldn't help myself, honestly.
I get that. I actually read Eyes on Me a few years ago, and then, which is the second book, and then read this one for the first time. Even though, honestly, I kind of feel like I've read it before.
Yeah.
I was kind of having like deja vu, and I was like, I don't know if it's like, because it revolves around a sex club, and I do feel like a lot of sex clubs, like if that's the setting of the book, I do feel like a lot of the plot is like the same. Like, girl who doesn't know kink doesn't know what it is, or like hasn't explored it. Man that owns sex club.
Oh yeah. Oh my God. It's tale as old as time. The billionaire man who's into BDSM. He finds this young girl who is like mousy but innocent, and he teaches her how to love kink.
And everyone's obsessed with her.
Oh my God,
like,
can't get enough.
That was something that, like, not to get too into it, but that was something that was like so annoying to me, because it's like, and I get it, because it's like I think it's like you're like, I want to be that girl or whatever, that like, but like, oh my God, they were like, she needs to be a part of the auction. I was like, fuck off. She's some random bitch.
And also, that was crazy. I'm sorry. I don't want to get ahead of it, but that part, I have a lot of thoughts. But I feel like it happens in a lot of romance books, the addiction. Like, I think there was like one quote that I highlighted where he was saying to her, like, I'm addicted to you. You were made for me. I'm like, all of these books, when they say that, I'm like, it does feel sexy in a book, but it just feels overplayed.
And it's so love bombing. I was like, you guys have gone on like one official date or whatever. You've known each other, like the timing is like 2 months or something like that in the book. And also like, and I know that these books aren't for this, but it's like, you don't know her from a fucking hole in the wall. Like, you don't actually know, like, they didn't even talk about her dad together.
I mean,
like, or like Sophie, which she didn't need to specifically talk about Sophie, but like, she doesn't even like talk about like her life or like anything outside. Like, we don't know what she's studying in school. We don't know like literally any of her hobbies or anything like that. So I'm like, how do you know that this girl is made for you? Like, I get it. Like, you guys enjoy having sex with each other, but like,
but not even in the beginning. Do you want to start with how, I guess you should go through, I don't want to jump ahead, with how they meet, because the meeting, their meet cute was the fucking beginning.
Is also crazy.
It's like right away in the beginning, I'm like, oh, we're in for a bumpy ride.
100%. So, spoiler warning, we'll be discussing praise, but not anything that comes after this one. And I want to put out a content warning that we're going to be discussing kink, specifically BDSM, like dom sub relationships, a little bit of transphobia, and the relationship is an age gap relationship. And I feel like this is the most kinky book I've covered on the pod.
Is it?
So,
oh my God, I'm honored.
Yeah, strap in. Well, I feel like the other one might be priest, but I think this is it.
Well,
this is the most kinky.
Perfect. And you know what? I think you picked the right person to be on the most kinky podcast episode, because I'm ready.
Agreed. Also, in the grand scheme of things, wasn't actually that kinky, but we'll discuss.
I think so, yes.
You think it was really kinky?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm a freak. I guess. Like, okay. Let's talk about that when we get to what she gets up to. But it's written by Sara, Cate. It was published March 17th, 2022, and it starts with a little prologue where we meet our main male character, Emerson Grant. He's 40 years old. This was 7 years ago, so I guess he was like 33. He worked in the entertainment industry with a bunch of his friends. They get laid off and they decide to start a dating app, specifically where you can sort by what your kink is. You can find another person who has the same kink as you. And then eventually they decide to open up a sex club.
I'm sorry. First of all, with that app idea, only men would come up with that.
Doesn't that exist? They like, I was like, this was written in 2022. I was like, there is like, what's that dating app, Field or whatever? Like, there are dating apps that like for people like that, like kink and stuff like that, or like just non-traditional like monog relationships. And I was like, you're acting like this is like fucking genius. And I was like, it's kind of basic.
It's kind of basic. And also, I have a male friend who is on that app, Feld or whatever, and I've asked him, I'm like, have you met with anyone there? He's like, no, it's mostly all men and then couples looking for maybe a third. And he's like, and the conversation starts and ends really quickly. I'm like, of course, that app would probably be mostly men, because not because women aren't into kink, but the danger presented of like finding some guy who's like, yeah, I'm into BDSM and like tying you up and all these kinks, and like you're gonna meet him for dinner. I don't know. I would be like, I'm a little worried.
Yeah, like worried.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so funny that you say that, because I think the thing with BDSM and a lot of kinks is like, the important part is like consent and respect. Because I just think that like, you're right, that so much of it, and please correct us if we're wrong, because I do think like we're not experts, I would say, but I'm like, I don't want to speak on Denise's behalf,
actually,
I don't think we're expert. Yeah. She's like, well, the sex club I own, like,
yeah,
but it does really feel like, and maybe this is just how I've experienced it recently, but like, I just feel like so much of it in books does come from like a place of consent and mutual respect, but so much of it IRL, like when you're playing with power dynamics and stuff like that, but it seems like IRL, like a lot of it is just like, it's more like control and like misogyny. And I know that that's not everyone. I feel like that's
not everyone, but here's the thing. I read a book that I wish I could remember the name. It was like, it's about serial killers and like the history of serial killers. I read that one. And there was one chapter about how like back in the day when they were like burning witches and all that stuff, that the torture chambers where they would find women, like the priests and all the men in the town would be like, this woman is a witch, and then they would put her and like tie her up in like bondage and then like insert whatever objects into her and like rape her repeatedly. And that was like, but now like with BDSM, with all the ropes and chains, like those old medieval like torture things are really modeled after that, which gave me a different.
Yeah, the St. Andrew's cross that she was talking about.
Yeah, and thinking about that, I felt a little bit like, oh, like it is a weird, I don't know what the psychology behind it is, but like the idea of men wanting to like inflict any sort of pain on a woman, like strangling, like spanking, slapping, things like nipple clamps, feels like, I know that a woman, you can give consent and be into it, but there's just still something about it that I'm like, I don't know that it's actually okay psychologically.
I know. There's this book that I want to read that's called like, Why Are They Into That? Or Why Are You Into That? Or something like that. And it is a book exploring like the origin of kinks, which I think is really interesting.
And like women have, it's like a thing like rape fantasies or like gangbang fantasies. Like, why do they exist? Because they do it. It's normal. Like we all like, you know, it's, but you don't ever want it to happen in real life. But then it feels weird. But I'm like, where are we getting it from?
Yeah, I think a lot of like the rape fantasy stuff is like having control of a situation, like kind of taking back control and like actually giving consent to have, I guess, right? Like forceful sex or whatever. But yeah, I know. I'm always like,
Bernie Sanders wrote like back when he was in college, he wrote like a thesis about the dangers of porn that depicts women getting like gang raped or torture porn and stuff. And people got mad at him. They were like, he's disgusting. Of course, because people had to hate on Bernie Sanders. But it's actually so really interesting and like spot on.
And it is so ingrained. Now that I'm back dating people and like having casual sex. It's so crazy, not to get too, but like how casual people are with like choking and stuff like that.
It's crazy.
Like it's definitely like way different from when I was hooking up with people prior to my ex. Like it's crazy, and like it really shows you you're right, or like some of it is just so like it's like you're performing porn, like the way that it just happens. And I'm like, it really shows you. It's so interesting to me of just like of how
that's what they're learning.
You can tell the effects of porn, like really. And like we're talking about, you know, the kind of classic porn. I know that there's like ethically made and feminist porn and stuff like that, but like the stuff that
the men are watching on Pornhub is not
it ain't that. Like, so it is actually it is crazy.
The strangling thing, the like choking thing, because some girls, maybe they're into it. But the way that, but it's also, I guess to me, and maybe I'm the prude here, or like I'm the problem, but I just feel like any man, why do you want to? Like, what are you getting out of it? Like the idea of like, what's the thrill of like putting your hands around my neck and simulating choking me? Like, I don't know. I don't love the idea of that you like that.
Yeah, I know. I get it. I totally get it.
But they're it's like, and also with this book, it's like complicated, all these things, because we are like, you don't want to be kink shaming.
Yeah.
But then I'm also very realistic about like how much of it is women having learned to please men, or like what our ideas are of like.
I was thinking about that with the praise kink. It's so, I know it's like she's just dying for for him to
good
be
girl,
to praise her, to say good girl and stuff like that, which I'm not gonna say like that. I like that too, but like I did learn more about praise kink, because I was like, doesn't everyone basically have a praise kink? Because it's like, who doesn't like to be told that they have a good, they're doing a good job, right? But it's obviously very like specific, and this is obviously like on the more extreme end of kink. But yeah, wild times.
And this book, damn, opens up quickly with the kinks. They bring out the kinks instantly, and it also starts with, we're learning about this girl, Charlie, who it's annoying that she has a boy's name, but also not. You know, there's a lot of characters, so I kept confusing like Charlie, but it's a cute name. But she's dating Beau.
It is
some loser.
Yes.
21-year-old, I guess, who's poor, that we think he's poor without a job or something in the beginning.
Yeah, who cheated on her, and they break up, and the damage deposit to their apartment gets sent to this man's house. So Charlie has to go get the damage deposit because she's also broke.
Oh, do you call it a damage deposit in Canada?
Yeah, what do you call it?
Security deposit?
Oh, cute. Yeah, no, we call it like, if someone said security deposit to me, I would know what they're talking about. But yeah, we call it a damage deposit, and she needs it back.
$5,000. Hell yeah. I would want it back too.
Yeah, totally. And she goes, and it's this really rich older man, and it happens to be Beau's dad.
Her ex-boyfriend's father, who is a billionaire, allegedly, or like a multimillionaire, very rich. Then how is his...
The app took off.
The app took off. Yeah, we fast-forwarded that app off the ground. The sex club, open.
She arrives, and there's like an assistant or like a housekeeper. So she's like, oh, just go into his office and wait for him there. And she thinks that it's a new submissive because he's like auditioning subs. And she thinks like, oh, I'm just going to go wait in his office so we can conduct business, I guess. And so he's like, get on your knees or whatever. And she's like, huh? But then she's like, but I actually like kind of want to do this. This guy is so hot. And like, I like feel compelled to do it. But
I mean, imagine you're walking into like a bank, like you're trying to pick up your security deposit. So you're walking into what you assume is like your management, like real estate management office. You go in there waiting, and the guy walks in and tells you to get on your knees. I'm sorry. When she's like, I'm into it. I'm like, girl, what? Unrealistic.
That is also, I've also read so many billionaire romances where it's like this girl's applying for a job, but then like the guy thinks it's like like it's so crazy to me. Like, it's so crazy.
And also, why would she be waiting in his office? Like, have you ever like, are like, yes, just go into this person's office. Like, usually you'd be waiting at like the lobby or something.
How often does this stuff happen? Like, is this really, like, obviously with romance novels, a lot of it is like make believe, or like, someone's fantasy or whatever, but like, do you think that this has happened in real life?
I mean, probably. I
Yeah.
if he's auditioning submissives, so this is the business that he's running.
Yeah.
I guess like you could see, but it's all. I mean, it also is weird because his submissives are his secretary, which is another part of the plot that's like a little murky.
Thank you. So the murky parts, and this is why I hate how kink is often written, because you're right that it's like, I feel like a lot of, like, they talked about this a lot in 50 Shades too, where it's like they just murk it up with like dubious things where it's supposed to be not dubious at all. And it's like, he's 40, she's 21, he's her boss, which she eventually gets a job there, spoiler alert,
as his secretary.
and it's the ex-boyfriend's dad. So it's like there's obviously so much at play there that's not even revolving around the kink.
No. And it's also like, okay, where is there HR? Because why are you hiring all of his secretaries that he hires are all
Maggie? Like,
they're also his
Maggie,
submissives?
where are you?
Like, it feels
Yeah.
Why did it have to be that way? Like, what? There's a lot she could have left out, but okay, here we are. This is what the plot is. She gets in there to get the money and comes out with a job.
Yeah, she likes it, and he's like, oh my God, I'm obsessed with this girl, like, immediately. But then she's like, I don't know why I'm doing this. Like, I'm here for the damage deposit. Like, I'm Beau's ex-girlfriend. And he is like fucking shocked. And then he's like, okay, I'll give you the damage deposit back, and I'll give you more money to be quiet. Like, don't tell Beau. And she asks for $250. Like, she's so cringe. Like, he's a billionaire. I would have been like 20.
Yeah, I mean, and also because her ex-boyfriend, his son, was an abusive piece of shit. I'd be like, not only do you owe me the security deposit, you owe me damages from the torment that your son did to me.
Go father your son.
Yes.
Literally. And she is really conflicted because she identifies as a feminist. And she's like, I don't know why I'm like preening for this guy's attention. So when she Googles him later that night, she finds out that he owns Salacious Players Club and all the dating services.
Beau, like in all the time they were dating, did they never talk about their parents?
This was another gripe and grumble I had was that they had only dated for like 9 months or something. I was like, why do you live with this man?
9 months, you wouldn't know what their dad does. Like you would be like, oh, who are you? Tell me about your family.
Why don't you talk to your dad? Why do you hate him? And also, why are you living with this man?
Yeah.
At 21 that you've known for 9 months. Like, that seems crazy to me. But she's like learning. She doesn't know a lot about kink. So she's like doing a big Google search. It reminded me of like Bella Googling
what
vampires.
Like, yeah. Yep. She's like, what are kinks? Yeah. Like, Google. I know. So funny.
So funny. But he's so obsessed with her that he goes to her place of work, which is a skating rink. And he calls her Charlotte because he has to be like, I don't know. He's also very pick-me, I feel like. But he's like, do you want to be my secretary? And she's like, okay, but I feel like your secretaries are also subs. Do you think I'm a prostitute, basically? And he's like, no, I actually just want you to be a secretary. But she like
is upset. Doesn't she? Like, she gets her feelings hurt.
She does get her feelings hurt. She's surprised. He isn't embarrassed about being so open about what he's interested in. And she asks how she did, like, kneeling or whatever. And he was like, you were exceptional. And I was like, what? This was the funniest thing when she was like, yeah, I will be your secretary. I do need the money. But I need to ask morally, like for my conscience, is Salacious Players Club LGBTQ friendly? Oh
my God, that part I was just like, oh my God, we fucking like it's the equivalent of when the Democrats were like doing kneeling with those scarves on, like for Black Lives Matter, like, or the equivalent of when they're holding up the signs during Trump's State of the Union that are like, this isn't normal. Like it felt like I just need to make sure it's like, yeah, okay, like we get it. Like, that's your moral,
like you're an ally.
So glad to know. And like obviously it's a club. What the fuck do you think that that it's the only kink club that is very strictly heterosexual? Like, come on.
Yeah, like it was so fucking funny. So she goes shopping because she needs a new secretary wardrobe, and she bumps into Beau already with a new girl, and he's pissed because she didn't get his half of the check. So, and she's like, you just have to go see your father to do that. And she shows up for her first day of work, and she's in a sexy outfit, red lips, black pencil skirt, see-through shirt.
Can I also sorry, I had to find the chapter, because that chapter when she sees him at the mall, the chapters are also titled so funny. Like,
fuck, but shoot me in the face.
That chapter was rule number 6: avoid malls for the risk of running into your ex while holding bags of lingerie you fantasize wearing for his dad. Wow, that happened very quickly.
And correct me if I'm wrong, because again, I read Eyes on Me a long time ago. I think all of the chapters are rules, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's cringe. I have a staunch take on this podcast that anything like above the writing, like any chapter titles, any quotes are
like in freaking the Fourth Wing and all like Fourth Wing, Iron Flame, Onyx Storm.
Yes, I don't give a fuck about those.
But apparently they're semi-important, and like then I had to go back. I'm like, what did I?
No, they're like so important, and I just like don't care. I don't care if there's a map or anything like that. But then I listened to Onyx Storm via audiobook, so I was forced to listen to them. It was so annoying.
I'm like, if it's because sometimes it's like meaningless stuff, but then sometimes they throw in important things, and I'm like, why can't you just write that into the chapter that I'm reading?
No, seriously.
I digress.
Thank you.
I digress. So she goes to work. What's her outfit that she picks for her first day of work is
insane.
Is insane.
A see-through shirt. And like a black lacy bra. I just like don't see this happening IRL. And I know that this isn't supposed to be like realistic, but like I don't know. But she's like really confident. Like all of a sudden she like is confident, and he's like surprised because I think obviously she's more shy. But she like also she's so dumb. She's like, so what's your kink? Or like she like they end up going to the club later, and she just like walks up to people and she's like, so what kink do you have? I was like, that's crazy,
which I would probably do actually too. That would be me, because I'd be like, oh, we're in a kink club. I'd be like, so what are you into? I'm like, what are you into? I would absolutely be like, you? What? Like, what's your thing?
I feel like if you were like chatting at the bar or something, like sure, but she literally is like, hi, nice to meet you. I'm Charlie. What's your kink?
Well, we are in a kink club, you know?
True. It's true. And he's giving her a tour, but he gets called away. And so Garrett, one of the other owners of the bar, the lawyer, I think, shows her around and takes her into a room that's just a throne with like a double-sided mirror or whatever so people can watch.
Voyeur room. And because isn't his kink, Garrett, is voyeurism?
Is a voyeur. And she's like, why would anyone like this? And he's like, why do you think? Like a woman will sit here and like, yeah. So he like sits her down in the chair and like touches her, like kneels in front of her and like touches her leg or whatever. But I was like, you're so dumb. Why do you think people would like that, bitch?
Yeah, like why do you think people watch porn? Like, do not like what do you mean? Why would people be into it? Because duh. But it's also a weird. The mirror, was it like people can see in, but you can't see the people looking, right?
I think so. Do these? I'm like literally such a naive loser. Do these clubs exist IRL? Because I've been to like a sex club. It was like performances, but it was like a stage. It wasn't like rooms with glass.
Oh no, they absolutely exist. And I've and in LA especially. And I have
yeah, I was in New York. I
have a friend who I won't obviously name, but they her and her husband went to one. And they said that people were just like fucking everywhere, like in all rooms. And they had different floors. So like you could go to a different floor to do different things. But they did say that everyone there was mostly unattractive, which felt also like
that tracks. Like I also get like what you're saying, like play parties where there's like rooms and people are just like fucking or like having group sex like everywhere. But like the double mirror thing, I'm like, does that? But I guess
she said that like there was one room where you could just watch, and like while people were fucking, other people were like obviously starting to masturbate or something watching them.
Like this crazy.
Yeah, I don't. It is not my kink. It would not be my kink, only because like, not only because, but it's like I like it's better with the idea of them not being able to see who's watching them, but it's also creepy. Like, who are the people behind the glass watching? And that Garrett guy, his whole character is all about, he's always in rooms, he's always spying, he's always like lurking around a corner watching people fuck. I'm like, okay.
Which isn't supposed, like that type of voyeurism is illegal. Like you have to have the consent of, like the whole part of voyeurism as a kink is that you are consenting to being watched and you like being watched and they like watching you. But you're so right. I'm like, what kind of like gross guy is like
he's just, and he,
out
from
there?
what we know in this book, he's not having sex. Like he isn't getting laid.
It's also like, it's one of those things too where it's like, if it's a hot guy, like if it's Garrett watching you, you're like, oh, because he's like so hot. And then it's like, but if it's like a bald, like old man, you would be like, what?
Yes, I'm sorry. Like, okay, if like, and not even politics aside, if like Elon Musk or Donald Trump was like watching me have sex, vomit, terrifying, horrifying horror movie, like Chuck Schumer watching me have sex. No thanks. Like any of those like old decrepit creeps, Gary Busey wouldn't want it. But I don't know who's hot enough that I would be happy with them watching me, like Austin Butler. But I'd also be like, Austin, what are you doing here?
Yeah. yeah. I'd be like, get in here.
Yeah, I'm like, who am I having sex with? Like,
you don't need to just watch.
Yeah, like then I would be upset. So I don't know. Not my kink, but
yeah.
Teach their own. Teach their own.
Teach their own. Teach their own. Emerson walks in on them and he's pissed because obviously he's obsessed with her already. So he's like, don't touch her ever again. And after work, she takes her sister to get like comic book stuff. I do like her relationship with her sister, but like they missed the release of like a manga book or whatever, and she like flirts with the cashier to get what she wants. And I guess this is supposed to demonstrate that she's like coming into her like sexuality.
Yeah. Okay, but also why weren't they giving like they weren't sold out of it, so why did you have to flirt with them to get it?
It was so dumb. Also, like every scene with Gwen and Sophie, I was like, FF.
I sped through.
Like, yeah. Sorry, I did not care. But they continue to work together. It's like normal. But he one day asks her, what suit should I wear to the club opening? And she's like, black would be sexy, but like the blue would be like regal or whatever. And she does truly one of the cringiest things. I was like, are you in high school? She goes, can I like read your palm?
Yeah.
Like she's like I was like, girl, this is so weird. So she's like, you have like a long love line, or like, I guess what they're talking, how it comes to be is she's like, oh, like who's your date to the opening? And he's like, I don't have a date. Like I don't date or whatever.
I don't date. I only have secretaries that I sometimes fuck.
that I fuck.
I'm a 40-year-old man who is also, I have to highlight that this man, they keep how old he is. They're like this old, like I was imagining like older, but I'm like, I'm almost 40. Like what the fuck? Like
I know.
It's hard to even imagine him as like this billionaire. I'm like, he's 40 and a billionaire running this club? In what world? But sure.
The original book cover is like him where he looks like George Clooney now. And I was like, Sara, Cate, 40-year-olds do not look like that.
No. And like the age gap was like, she's so much older. I'm like, but he also, did we ever find out? Like he must have had his son when he was 20?
Yeah. Yeah.
So okay. Because I also have issues with the age gap in general, but I'm like, oh, okay. So he had a child at 20 when he was the same age as Charlie. And like, he doesn't see an issue with like taking away the years of her life, of like her youth that he had. Yeah. I mean, it just boggles me and grosses me out, but that's fine. Emerson, you're hot, I guess. Let's continue. She reads his palm because that's another skill set that she has, you know.
And then he like kind of kisses her like really gently. And she's like, oh my God. And then they're like, we'll never do this again. And I was like, yeah, that's your boss.
Yeah. Well,
and you need this job. But like, there's literally no context in this book other than them fucking, because it's like, why do you actually need this job? I guess to pay off your student loans, but it's like, we don't know. I don't know anything about your life other than this.
No. And like the kiss, everything, it's like, okay, they're sexually attracted to each other. They're not really getting to know each other. It's weird. The way, like, the love happens so quickly and it's unearned.
It's insta love, yes, and not based on anything real other than chemistry.
Yeah, and chemistry, but like the chemistry is in their brains, like what we hear from them saying, but it doesn't make any sense in actuality to me.
And I think we skipped over this part, but the whole point of Emerson hiring her, obviously he's intrigued by her, but it's like also he wants a relationship with his son.
Oh, yeah.
And he's like, maybe this will like prompt him into talking with me.
Which also feels ethically blurry.
No, this is like fucking weird. And it, again, does not get addressed in the ending at all. But he like calls his son, leaves him a voicemail and was like, Charlie works for me now. Knowing that would like rage bait him into
calling him back, like talking to having a relationship.
Yeah, calling him back. Yeah.
And the whole reason that they don't have a relationship is because his son thinks what his dad does is
he's a pervert.
Yeah. Which honestly, both they paint out to be like a bad guy, but I am on his side here where he's like, my dad's a freaking pervert. I'm like, yeah, kind of. Your dad does work in a sex club, which is fine, but your dad also is a man who hires secretaries.
Fucks 21-year-olds.
Yes, and he fucks his secretaries. And yeah, it is.
I know the perverted thing isn't that he works in the entertainment industry and that he has a sex club. The perverted thing is that he's a 40-year-old man lusting over a recent 21-year-old
employee.
Yeah.
And the way that he does execute his like little BDSM with her. I was reading reviews and people were like, oh my God, this is what 50 Shades of Grey should have been. This is so much better. I didn't like 50 Shades of Grey. Like, I mean, obviously I read it, watched all the movies. Like, it was fun.
Yeah, duh.
But like, no, part of like the things that he likes that he does to her as a submissive actually feel degrading and like weirder, like making her crawl on the floor, making her like.
Have you watched Baby Girl?
I did.
Isn't this very Baby Girl coded kind of?
Yeah, and I liked Baby Girl, but also didn't like it. Like, I didn't know how I felt after I left. I was like, I was entertained, but also not. I mean, this is so uninteresting almost, I think.
Yeah. So their work relationship continues. There's one day where she has to walk to get lunch because her car battery died. He's really upset that she didn't just ask him to use his car, which, like, fuck it. This also shows her immaturity and how she, like, she can't even tell you that her car battery died. Like, that is a red flag to me.
And what year are we living in? Why does she have to go pick up the food? You can't, like, why isn't it?
Delivery? Good point. Like, ever heard of it? Uber
and how is
Eats?
she getting to and from work? How does he think she's commuting? Like, obviously, she doesn't have a car. She's getting there with public transit.
It's so crazy. So he's really upset. So he's like, know what would make this better is if I rub your feet. Could you imagine if your boss was like, let me rub your feet?
I would be like, my brain, I'd be like, cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching. I can't wait to bring this up to HR.
Yeah. No, literally. And she's like, yeah, for sure. So she starts getting a foot rub. It's funny how this to me was the grossest thing. I don't like feet stuff, but like she touches his erection with her foot
which does
accidentally.
Look, and I know people are into feet. There's a foot fetish, but appalling. I don't even like looking at people in sandals.
I was watching, speaking of porn, I was watching porn the other day, and this girl starts giving this guy like a HJ, but a foot.
Oh my God.
I literally was like, next video.
And it's also like, how do you, it just.
I was like, there wouldn't be enough, like, not suction, but like pressure or like. It just looked so weird to me. So she like starts rubbing his dick with her foot.
Have you ever heard of a woman with a foot fetish? I feel like I only ever hear of men with feet fetishes.
That's
rarely.
true.
And if you are a woman with a foot fetish, please let us know. Let us know because prove me wrong. But it just feels like something very particular to men in of itself. If it's something that men really, really love, I automatically assume it's gross.
Yeah.
Like there's something dark-sided. Yeah. There's something sinister about it, but I don't really know what it is, you know?
No, 100%. But before this could escalate, Beau calls.
Of course.
And he's like, oh my God, I heard you got hired. And she's like, oh my God, he told you. And then he's like, are you sleeping together? And is like, stay away from my dad. He's a perv. And so they're really upset. But he ends up jumping her car.
And like his dad is a perv.
Also, yeah, actually, you know what? 1 second here. Why is Beau, justice for Beau? Because it's like, he's like, is my dad sleeping with you? Because he has slept, like, assuming like he knows that he's slept with not underage women,
all
but like
of his
very
secretaries.
close to underage women.
Yeah.
Yes. So he's like literally like, stay away from, like, I'm telling you, I'm warning you that this could happen.
And it's like, listen, I've already fucked him with my feet, so gate's wide open now. A little too late, Bo. Click. Bye.
So they go to the opening of Salacious Players Club, and he's really like showing her.
And can
off.
you imagine like also going to a work event? Like I've gone to work events with bosses like for but not as like their date. And imagine like walking around with them, like I would be again, HR violations up the wazoo. And it's also he's cock blocking her from like meeting any of the other age appropriate hotties that are also at this sex club.
Totally. The one part I did like was when he was like, here's my credit card.
I know.
To go shopping.
The least he could do. Yeah.
At the party, she sees a woman kneeling next to this guy playing poker. And she's like, oh my God, that seems like kind of degrading because he's not paying attention to her. But then he was like touching her face, and she's like, oh my God, I like really like that. And so she goes and explores the other rooms. She sees, I think, a girl and a guy like hooking up with this other girl. Like this girl's eating this other girl out. Emerson finds her in the dark shadow.
In the dark shadows of the sex club of the brothel that I imagine is like in House of the Dragon when the uncle takes the niece to that weird little brothel.
Oh,
that's what I was imagining. I'm like, there they are. Uncle, niece.
I just like, okay, this is the other thing about like BDSM and stuff like that you just have to fucking laugh. And again, I'm not saying I'm against any of these, but like you just have to like not take it so seriously, because it's like when they were discussing like it's like black leather couches, red lighting, like a jazzy piano or like saxophone or whatever. It's just so like
it's like 80s
girls wearing leather.
This is like 1980s porn. You know, I feel like it's like it's always like such a cliche of what I'm like, is that actually what is sexy? If I could imagine my own sex club.
That's what I'm trying to say when I'm like, do these exist? I know, because I'm just like, it's a, like, I don't know. It's like there's gold everywhere. Like there's, I don't know, there's metal and like, or like steel or like whatever. Like, I don't know. I just like, I don't know. So, but she's getting hot and bothered.
She is horny.
This
little 21-year-old, so innocent, but she's like, I see this girl kneeling.
No, that's me. No, that's me. Like, no, that's literally me. Like when I went to that sex club, I was pulled up on stage because I feel like they were like, who the fuck brought this child who's never like, who's a virgin freak?
Oh my God. And you were their kink. You were the kink for the audience. They were like, yes, get the virgin young girl up
corrupt
there.
Corrupt
her.
Oh
my God. Like, yeah.
The virgin sacrifice, like that's like literally I was her. But he's like, I actually really liked this scene. He's like,
when he's telling her to masturbate.
Yeah, he's like, touch yourself, but he's like kind of like guiding her, like she's touching herself, but his hand is like over her hand.
I can't remember if she said she had masturbated before. Like it wasn't the first time she had.
No, I don't think so.
No, yeah, maybe, but
it was the first time she did it in public, and she was like, I do really
the first
like
time
this,
you do it in public,
like,
everyone has to lose their, you know, it's hard the first time, you know, the masturbating in public.
That's actually crazy. Sometimes these books, like, I have such a warped,
like actually I've seen someone masturbating in public too when I was on a subway in New York City, and it wasn't hot and sexy, let me tell you. It was pretty horrifying. But
literally
and like, yeah, she's embarrassed afterwards. After she comes, she's like, oh no.
Oh no,
I'm so embarrassed.
But she takes the weekend to think about it, and she's like, no, I'm going full sub mode. So she does all of her research on what praise kink is. She researches her limits, and there's like this list of 200 sex acts that you have to rate on a scale of 1 to 5 of like yes or no. And it's like, some of it is like crazy shit, like fisting.
Okay, there are some kinks that I will shame you for. Fisting. Who's that fun for? Who is that fun for? Because I don't. Again, prove me wrong. If you're a woman who likes to get fisted, let me know. I just can't imagine it feels good.
Like you're saying, it's like whenever you think like, who is this getting off? And it seems like it's just one-sided.
Yeah, but then also, why is a man
like,
getting off and shoving his fist up a woman's vagina? Like, that man, you need to talk to someone. You are a danger to society, too. What the fuck? Let me shove my fist up your butthole and see how you like it. Like, no.
This is actually laughable at this point. Because she brings him the list. She's like kneeling when he walks into the room, not looking at the floor, because that's what subs do, I guess, in this circumstance. I'm sure they do other things too. But he's like, okay, I will teach you how to be a sub, but not in the sexual way. Because she left off on the list all of the sexual stuff. Like that makes this any more appropriate.
It's like, no, you're just a sub, like, as like you're a billionaire be making a poor person submissive to you, like that's your king. I'm like, that's pretty yeah. Yuck, like right there I'm like, oh yeah, that tracks. That tracks. He's like, I just want to be your boss and abuse you as my employee and like degrade you, but nothing sexual.
Insane. Then he takes a video call meeting and she has to sit beside him and no one knows. This was another thing that I was like, how? Because like the other part of kink is that you're supposed to have the consent of everybody. So like she's doing this sexual act or like sexually charged act, and at the end of the book she gives him a blowjob when he's in a meeting too, and I'm like, that is actually like non-consenting. Like,
no way. And
like Louis
yes.
C.K.
I was in high school and I was talking to my guy friend on the phone, and he didn't tell me at the time, but he was like, he sounded a little bit weird later, like years later. He was like, told me that his girlfriend was giving him a blowjob while we were on the phone talking about a school project, and he was laughing about it. And I honestly still to this day have so much rage about it, because I'm like, and it's happened so long ago, but I was like, then when I even see it, like in that one show with Kevin Spacey, House of Cards, they had a scene where the girl's on the phone with her dad while he's going down on her, and it like triggered something in me. And that in this book too, I'm like, no, you're right. And it's the consent of the other people. It's like you are getting off at the expense of like people who have no idea. It's the same as when people like do
which
weird
is
stuff
the
in public.
opposite of what kink is.
Yeah.
Why voyeurism, the illegal way, is bad. And like you're totally right. Like that's sometimes
I feel that way about couples who are overly like, they're making out aggressively or like touching each other very sexually in public, where I'm like, now it's not, you can do whatever the fuck you want, but why do I have to be involved? Like, why do I have to sit here behind you and have to watch you doing it? Like on an airplane or if we're in line somewhere. Because I'm like, also, why are you getting off on talking to me on the phone while you're getting, well, I don't know. And it's, again, what's the psychology there? I don't know, but it can't be good.
Can't be good.
Is she naked right now while he's on the phone call? Because she's...
I don't think so. Because remember, it's like not actually supposed to be sexual.
Right.
But it
is. Yeah.
So Emerson and Charlie go to a meeting, and it's at the club, and one of his old subs, Monica, is there to sell the club sex
Not
toys.
One of his old subs, one of his old secretaries. And sub.
Sorry, my bad. Yeah. The official title, secretary. Off the record title, submissive. She's immediately jealous of Monica, and she is supposed to answer, like when they're in public, like answer like a sub, like replying to his questions in a certain way, saying like, sir, all of these things. And she doesn't do that. So she like embarrasses him or whatever.
He's like, you didn't address me properly, Emerson. Come.
It's so crazy. And so he has to go like take this meeting with Monica and Drake, who is he is in the crew. He does like the construction.
And he's
the club.
Hot. They describe him as hot.
Super hot.
And he's in the future books.
And he gets
and I
around.
really like him. I like his character.
I feel like I've also read that one, but who knows? But he is showing Charlie some of the sex toys, and there's a remote control vibrator, and he like dares her to.
He shows her with his friend who's married, like the only guy in the club who's married, Halden.
That's married.
he's also a key player in the future books with Drake. But yeah, the married guy who has a wife who also works in the club, he's trying to find the right vibrator for her. So they ask her to test them out.
Right.
So that he can pick the right one for his wife. You know, how romantic.
But like that also just makes no sense because every woman is different. Like that just like actually makes no sense.
Can we try this vibrator out on you to see if my wife will like it? Yeah.
Fucking insane. So she's so mad at Emerson that she's like, sure. So she goes to the bathroom. She puts the vibrator in her vagina.
However, yeah.
She goes out in public and he like starts to turn it on and she's like immediately coming, which also is like crazy.
What vibrator is this? Like,
no, I know. I was like, can I get my hands on that? Because it's like, it's not, she's like immediately, she's like trying not to come. I was like, and I just was like, that's so unrealistic because I was like, it's not that quick, especially because there was like no foreplay or anything like that. And I was like, B, you're in public, so there would be, I feel like, an additional barrier to getting off.
And technically, she also doesn't know Drake or his friend or that guy's wife. Like, Drake is hot, you know that, but like Emerson hates him. All she knows is that Emerson doesn't like that guy Drake, who's like the construction worker at the place. And he hands her a vibrator, and she's like, I will stick this up my vagina. Sure. Like, because I'm mad at my boss for going in the back room with his other secretary. Well, she's also 21, so why don't you give her some slack?
True. But Emerson walks in and Drake's like, haha, like.
That's why I like him.
Or he's like, she has a vibrator on and like is about to come in public or whatever. Like,
yeah, I like that Drake is the only one that calls her.
She's like squirming around.
And Drake doesn't give a fuck, and that's why Emerson hates him. He's like, yeah, this is a sex club. Your secretary's here. We put a vibrator. We gave her a vibrator. She's having fun. And Emerson acts very reasonably. Not at all. He turns into a psychopath.
Not at all. Turns into a psychopath. He like doesn't talk to her and was just like, we're going out for lunch.
Yeah.
And so he takes her out for lunch, and the punishment is that she has to eat lunch, which again is like crazy work. If you're the server and all of a sudden like this girl is like coming,
that's what I was fucking thinking.
You're like,
too.
Can I get you the bill? And she's like writhing on the like
at a busy restaurant because Emerson takes the controller and he's like, your punishment is, and then he starts like fucking with the vibrator, and she's like, again, of course, coming quickly. Yeah, you're right. I didn't think about that part, but like, yeah, now you're including all these innocent bystanders at the restaurant in your creepy kink.
100%.
And like, how?
100%.
Why? I mean, there's just no way. I'm sorry. If you're really having an orgasm, if no one knows what's going on, you're just gonna look bizarre. I don't know. Like, I was trying to even picture what she could be looking like at the time. Like, having a heart attack.
Well, she kind of was like, I was like, literally like, ma'am, do I need to call 911? Like, she did kind of say that she was like clutching his arm and like had her like face in his neck or something like that.
How close were they sitting? Were they in a booth?
That's what I pictured in my head, but I don't know.
Anyway, there they go again, using their kinks on the world. And she likes it, which honestly, but you know what's so funny after this? This is what really, because then Emerson has a moral issue with himself because he's like, I didn't ask your consent before I use the vibrator on you. I'm so ashamed of myself because I'm an upstanding man. And like, that was he was so upset that he didn't ask her consent. I'm like, you motherfucker couldn't have thought about that a little bit earlier because
you're supposed to be like the expert guy.
He's like, oopsies.
The title of this chapter was like, sometimes punishments can be good or something like that. Like,
oh God, yeah. Mm-hmm.
It was so like, sometimes you look forward to the punishments, which I guess that is like kinky. But
the chapter I wanted to really also highlight was the one that says dressing like a hooker comes in handy. As progressive as we are we still calling them hookers? I don't think so.
No, literally, this was published
2022.
in 2022. She also mentions multiple times how like she lives in the ghetto, or like her apartment was like in the ghetto with Beau or whatever. I was like, babe,
like she's like, I'm only going to the club if it's LGBTQ friendly, but I like dressing like a hooker in my ghetto apartment. Like, what the fucking white woman is going on here?
That's so crazy. So Beau ends up going to Emerson's house and sees them together. And Emerson's like, you should catch up with Beau over dinner.
Okay, that was also so fucking weird. So fucking weird.
what was the, like, I don't even remember, why did he think that was a good idea? I remember being pissed at him, but what was his motivation for this?
Because he was like, I think he was saying like he thought his son would be better off, like she would be better off with him, like because he's age appropriate. He thought Beau would be happy and like him, but it was so manipulative because like, yeah, he comes there and he doesn't even ask her if she wants to go to dinner with her. What we know of him, her cheating loser ex-boyfriend who treated her like shit, and he's like, yeah, go to dinner together, go out, take her to dinner and leave. That was weird.
That was so weird.
And of course, she gets in the car and immediately her creepy ex, who has a creepy dad, is like, let's just go back to your house and fuck.
Yes. And yeah. And she's like, oh my God, I know when we go back to my house, he's going to want to fuck. And she's like, no, Beau, like, we can go eat pizza, but like, I'm not sleeping with you. I'm not getting back together with you. I'm a changed woman.
We can go eat pizza, even though your dad's a billionaire. Why the fuck are you taking me to go get pizza with the $50 bill, or his dad gives him a $100 bill or something to take her to pizza? They are 21. So they are two 21-year-olds. So cool. But she does let him into the house, actually.
Yes, yeah. And Sophie's like shocked. But she ends up doubling back, going back to Emerson's house. Girls always commuting.
Yeah.
And she's like, why the fuck did you just do that? And then they actually like start hooking up. This is like the first time they like officially hook up. And they have like really good sex. She says he is the first guy that she feels comfortable with and not self-conscious. He does lots of aftercare, which I liked.
You liked?
Denise is rolling her eyes.
Well, I guess like aftercare, I hear the term a lot. Like, it's just, what is that?
I think a lot of these kinks are physically overwhelming. Like, she talks a little bit about substate, which is like this other plane that you enter when there's so much physically, I think, going on. Like, your body is so aroused. And so it is, some people actually like pass out and stuff like that.
Well, probably because also it's painful.
Or like get really anxious.
Like, was he putting the nipple clamps and all that stuff on her? He like ball gags, like whatever the fuck. I'm like, yeah, you were hurting someone. Like, regardless if you like the pain or whatever, it hurts. It's gonna hurt, and it has to feel a little bit like you're scared and like a little bit degrading. So the aftercare, it's like
important when you're right that they're like so physically overwhelmed.
Yeah.
That like they can like pass out and stuff like that because like they need, it's like a come down almost. Like there's a big drop, a sub drop where you can, where it just basically a lot of times it's like you need water and like a shower and a hug.
Is that what aftercare is? It's like that should just be standard after you have sex. Like, yes, I would like a glass of water and a hug would be fine.
Literally. So it's Sophie's birthday. They're having it at the rink, and this is so fucking weird. He shows up uninvited, knowing that her sister and her mom are there. They meet, and they're like, the mom just goes like, yeah, like I get it. Like he's fucking hot and he has like a lot of power and stuff. And I was like, that's insane. I was like, this is a 21-year-old. And I was like, also showing up when
unannounced.
You obviously have, and you're like casually, you're in this casual relationship or whatever,
with your boss.
But you're also her boss. But then maybe you don't know if she wants to tell her parent that. Like,
but also the mom is a fucking freak too. Mom, like this man is 40 years old. How old is her mom? Has to be probably that same age. I'm sorry. I have a niece who is 18.
Hated that. Like
if she dated a man my age, mama, murder. I would be having an intervention. Like the mom was just like, cool, like, good for you, girl. I was like, that's insane. That's insane. I'm anti-mom, and I'm going to defend the dad a little bit later, who they make out to be like the evil guy.
Thank you.
The mom here, I'm like, you're not being a good mom. You're not being a good mom. At least ask some questions. Like, no. Wait, isn't that your boyfriend's 100%. Dad? Don't you work for him? Did you invite him here? He's also 20 years older than you. That's weird.
But he got Sophie anime tickets, so everything is okay. And they're VIP, so everything is really okay.
Yeah. How much are anime tickets? I'm sorry. What was this? A hot commodity? Like, what did he splurge? No. Was this like the Eras tour? I don't think so.
No, literally. Okay, and then they go back to their house and watch a movie together, and then he's like, I want to see your room, because she stays in like the pool house behind their house, and then they like fuck. They like masturbate in front
Oh
of
my
each
God.
other.
Yeah, which was the fun. Which there are books I've read where like the mutual masturbation scenes are written so well, and it's like so sexy and hot.
I know, it's so hot. Like, oh my God.
Well,
Like,
there was
it's
the
like
one book like
you can't touch each other and stuff
The
like
Long
that.
December or whatever, where it was like, or last December, where it was like the couple, they were on like different timelines or something. I don't know. I'm sorry, but it's a very good book, but they did that perfectly. In this mutual masturbation, I'm not so sure that it was felt unrealistic. Again, I guess it shouldn't be realistic, but if it was like unearned, it was also no build up, and it was he was trying to encourage her to feel more comfortable sexually, but it felt more like he's like pushing. I don't know. And also in your her childhood bedroom.
I know, when the mom and sister are like right there.
The mom and sister are right there. And the mom just lets the boss, her 40-year-old boss, go privately into her bedroom. Again, Child Protective Services need to be involved.
Ring-a-ding-ding.
Ring-a-ding, fucking ding.
So he also like looks around her room and sees a bunch of pictures, and he's like, who's this? And we find out that Sophie is trans, and that's the reason actually why their dad left them. And he's super supportive, so no probs there.
I love, again, it just felt like Sarah Cate throwing in like a progressive, like, you know, this one little, like, as she's trans and that's why the dad left, but Emerson is so progressive.
He's dating a fucking 20-year-old.
Yeah.
Whose cerebral cortex hasn't finished growing.
And how old is her sister, Sophie?
Cortex. Like, probably, I don't know, you would assume, like, I don't know, 3 to 5 years younger or something.
So
like,
she's not even 18 yet.
No, it seemed like she was in high school, having like a high school party. Oh, was it her 16th birthday, maybe?
So 16 and having already transitioned. Don't let the Republicans get their hands on this.
Yeah.
J.D. Vance know what's happening in this book. They'll ban it for sure.
So here's where we get spicy. So the club is throwing their first event, and what is it? It is a auction for women. Which I have read so many books with auctions for women.
Which are like actual things that happen in like human trafficking. And the way that he pitches the auction to her, she doesn't have a choice. He's like, you're going to be in the auction.
Oh, that was also insane, because I'm like, this whole relationship is supposed to be so consensual. And at every point, you're taking away her consent. Like, literally, she's not supposed to, she's just there for the event. And Garrett's like, I want to auction off Charlotte. And Emerson's like, no, but then he's like, okay.
Yeah, he's like, actually, sure.
Yeah, and then like he tells her, she's upset, and then to make it better, he just has sex with her for the first time without a condom. This is another thing that romance books do that's so annoying. Like, they're like, I'm clean.
Oh my God.
Which is like weird to like even associate STIs with like being unclean, and then like, it's like, I'm clean, so like we can raw dog it.
We can raw. And like that was his big thing too. He's like, you have to get tested. I'm like, motherfucker, you get tested.
No, literally. Like, she's just been sleeping with your son for the last 9 months. Like, yeah.
And don't they have to be auctioned off in their underwear? She's wearing just a bra and underwear, isn't she? Or the other?
Yeah, where you can, yes, you can see the spanking marks on her ass. But like, this was the other thing that I don't like. It's like, I don't like when people use sex as the like, because this happens twice in the book where they have a conflict and then they just use sex to solve it instead of like actually like talking.
Because she's like, finally without a condom. Oh my God, he loves me. Like,
Yeah. So she ends up doing the auction, and this is also fucking annoying. So of course she's like, everyone's getting about like $1,000. Eden, which is like a madam there, whatever, like she got 5,000. I think it was her or some other girl. She got 5,000. But then I get on stage, and the guy that she saw with the sub at the club opening bids $10,000.
I know, and exactly, yeah. And she's like, the whole book is also her talking about how insecure she is. She doesn't feel beautiful. She doesn't feel wanted, and
she's not worth it. She's like a loser.
She's like, I'm ugly, and my body is gross, and nobody likes me, and I'm just so ugly. And then she's like, and then they were just bidding up. Everyone was clamoring to bid for me. I'm like, shut the fuck up, like. And also, just shut the fuck up.
She's so
because
annoying.
Also, no one that's
insecure,
like if you are really insecure and like battling with body issues, you're not getting on stage in your underwear at an auction. Like,
straight up. And so Emerson ends up getting in a bidding war with this guy and ends up paying $75,000. But I was also thinking, I was like, $75,000 to what? A charity?
well, okay, that was the other
club?
thing, because when he was explaining the auction to her, she was like, "What are you buying? What are they buying?" And he was like, "An hour of your time." But she's like, "Doing what?" And all the other girls were having to have fun, like go into the rooms,
have sex.
But she was the only one that was like, they were buying an hour of her time to watch a TV show.
I also just hate, like, okay, we talked about this a little bit when we covered The Idea of You, where it was like when the Harry Styles character is just like, want to go upstairs and like watch a movie or whatever. And it's like, if you want to have sex with me, you should, and you want to ask, like, you need to be like, you need to ask, like, use your words. And it's kind of like this too, where like, it was like, the guys is a lie.
Well, because it's illegal, technically. Like, you can't pay for sex.
Yeah.
So it's like all the...
But she kept being like, well, like, I'll just, like, I won't do that. Like, we'll just be hanging out. Like, I don't know.
What
just like,
planet? This guy is going to pay $10,000 for you to just hang out. You're in a sex club.
That's what I mean.
That's what I mean. Auction. And Emerson was under the delusion, too, that was what was going to happen. Like, murky.
Yeah, because I was like, you don't want her to spend time with another guy. So what, you think that you're putting her basically in an unsafe situation where she gets bid on, someone else wins, and then she refuses to have sex with them, and then...
I guess he didn't think anyone else was going to bid for her. He couldn't have thought that. But like, also $75,000 when you're a billionaire, pretty
kind of nothing.
Kind of nothing. Mm-hmm. Wow.
So he redeems the date with her.
Well, he gets pissed,
taking her to a bedroom,
and that was also the other thing. He like rips her off stage, and she's like, "Are you mad at me?" And he like won't speak to her, and they're like driving home. He won't speak, and she's so worried that he's mad at her, and she's like, "What did I do? I'm so sorry." I'm like, "Why are you apologizing to this man?"
No, literally, because I was like, you were making her feel like she did something wrong.
Yeah.
And she just actually did what you asked.
Mm-hmm. And he was like not telling her he was quiet about it until I think he started fucking her. I don't remember when he came clean about being, I forget what his excuse was. He's like, "No, I was just jealous."
No. He wants her to know her own worth.
Oh my God. Yes. Oh my God. Oh, I think I blocked that out because it was so...
I want to block it
because he was mad. He's like, "I can't." He's like, "Do you think you were worth $75,000?" She's like, "No." And he's like smacking her across the face. And she's like, "Why?" He's like, "You need to know that you were worth it." And bitch, as he's like beating her. Wow, that's all she was worth to you.
Also, it's like, I don't get what you think your approval and like love for her, that doesn't equate to self-worth.
Yeah. That's internal.
The key word there is self. Yeah. So I also just didn't get this premise at all, because it's like, it's not there. That's two very different things.
And punishing her, like being mad at her because she's insecure, is like,
isn't going to help. No. That's again the opposite of what's going to help. So he restrains her to the bed. He blindfolds her, and she's nervous again. And it's like, you need to tell her what you're doing. You can't just like let her not know.
While you're mad at her, apparently, like.
Totally. And he like sets a safe word with her. So it's like, she's like, what's about to go down?
And wasn't the safe word mercy or something? Feels like, okay.
Feels crazy.
Feels crazy. Yeah.
So he puts nipple clamps on her, and he keeps just repeating, like, "Are you worth $75,000?
Also, someone write, like, please let Tori know, because I have a question. Does anyone love nipple clamps? Like, having all those, is that like...
I've I've never used them. I know one friend that's used them, and they didn't like them.
No.
But, like so that's my survey
But, like,
sample.
if I pinch my nipple, it hurts. I'm like, ow. Like, you know? I'm like, again, who is it for? What is it about it for women?
Totally. Doesn't do it for me. And then he pours candle wax on her, and she's entered the sub-state, and she starts crying.
Saying vocally, "It hurts." And then he's like, "Do you want me to stop?" She says, "No." Really? Because she just said it hurts. If someone's saying it hurts, yeah, probably that would mean like...
You gotta stop and slow down and check in.
Yeah.
He finally takes the blindfold off her, and he forces her to say that she's wrong and that she's like worth it. And then they have sex. And then they have a shower and she gives him a blowjob in the shower.
Look, the pain, when she was saying it hurts and the candle wax was like burning, part of me was like, it feels like she's being beaten into submission, kind of like to please him. She's saying keep going even though she's in pain because she wants him to be happy.
I feel like when I've read other BDSM books and like the woman is getting off on that, it makes it seem better,
yeah,
fine or normal or whatever, but like it didn't seem like that was the case.
And again, with the age gap, and the power dynamic, all of it is like the power dynamic, the age gap that piled on. And like, okay, we're reading this fun book, we're supposed to have fun, and the thing is, I love smut, and I do find them to be like, for women, we need porn and like we need sexual stuff, and like the smut is fun, but like I hate when these books that are meant to be written for women by women still seem to appeal to a male gaze in a way of like, can we not like shift the narrative for at least women to like have the pleasure really be about the woman? Because in this situation, like even trying to understand when she's saying it hurts and he keeps going, maybe if she could have been like, I didn't know that, like, I don't know why, but the pain felt so good. It's so weird. Like, I did like it. Like, can I pour wax on you? Like something, like at least give us some explanation, because it just felt like, okay, this is just like watching porn made for men.
The other thing is I don't think that it is technically like consensual, or like it is, again, under like dubious circumstances if he is doing this to get her to change her mind about something.
Yeah. To get her to admit that she's wrong about her own self-esteem.
About something where it's not to do it to get her off.
Yes, nailed it.
Right?
Yeah, you're right.
So that is also weird to me. That's why when you were telling me that a lot of the comments said, oh, this is 50 Shades but done well, I was like, is it done well though? Because I feel like I've read kink books that seem way more consensual and way more respectful.
Yeah, because you are right. I didn't put that together of he really is doing all of this to get her to submit to admitting to feeling something she doesn't feel and not her pleasure. Yuck.
Yeah, big yuck.
Could you ease her into feeling good about herself? Like, can she not just have emotional issues?
She just graduated from college and works at a skating rink. Like, and has a beat up car. Girl's not doing well. Like, chill. So like, I'm 33, you're 39, and we've been talking a lot about how in your 30s, you're just so much more confident about your body and your sexuality, and like, it's just so different from your 20s. Like, I could just not imagine myself at 21.
No, and at 21, you don't even know what you really like, what you want. And we are, like, you go through, like, you are really, all of society, all of culture, as we're growing up, enforces women to think, like, your purpose is to please men. Like, sex is for men. Like, we believe that. Like, it's like so ingrained that women learn to fake orgasms, or, like, how do we focus on male pleasure as, like, when we're coming into our sexuality, that it takes time to break free of that it brings another layer onto it, where it's like, okay, she's probably only ever had sex with one other person, his son, who cheated on her and treated her like shit.
that happens to be his son.
Happens to be his son. And then now this is her second sexual experience with this older man who is making her feel bad about her self-esteem issues, and she also has a father who abandoned her that we know of. Like, layered on layered of just, I don't know who's getting, like, for people, like, people loved this book. They loved it. They got off on it. And I guess I'm like, maybe we're reading into it too deeply. Like, maybe I'm thinking too hard about it.
We always do, though. You and I always
do. But I feel like I have to, because I'm like, we got to figure out why this is still, like, prevalent.
When people don't, I get annoyed, because books shape culture and stuff like that. Like, I don't like when people are like, oh, books aren't political and stuff like that. Like,
it is.
The opposite is true.
And like, she's not, like, don't we know if your frontal lobe, the character should have been, if she was 25, 26, even that, like, you could have aged her up a little bit, like, and that would still be in big age gap. A 10-year age gap is still a big age gap. Like, she didn't have to be 21.
And maybe she just like, she had like a dead end job and like her like she had never had really good sex or something like that.
Yeah.
But she was experienced or like something. I feel like that would just take so many things away.
And he doesn't, okay. And then the blowjob happens, whatever. Like, she also doesn't have to be taught how to give a blowjob, which I'm like, how did she know so quickly? Like, she's giving the best. He's like, he's never had a better blowjob in his life, is how he's describing it. I'm like, yeah, right.
That's always the main, like, that's always the female characters. Like, she just
gives the best blowjob.
She doesn't know her, best blowjob. And it's like, she doesn't know her, like, power. Like, she's so beautiful that, she doesn't get her allure or whatever. Okay, so they're at Emerson's one day. It's coming to a point where he's like, I shouldn't be with this girl because I'm taking away her youth or what, and she's my son's ex, and I want to have a relationship with my son. And she's like, what is her issue with him? Like, I guess she's just like confused.
Because he is confusing. Like, because he's like, this is wrong. He is like reinforcing to her that it's wrong, and that he wants a relationship with his son. You can't. Why don't you have one? What is like?
Yeah, but he tells her that Beau hates him so much because of the kink club.
But does he, like, that also feels like your son hates you because of the kink club or because you fuck your secretaries? Like, maybe you cheated on his mom. Like, I'm on Beau. I'm a Beau apologist here where I'm like, he probably hates you for a lot of, maybe you're an absent, like, where's the mom? Where's his ex-wife? Where's Beau's mom? Do we ever hear from her? Maybe that's why he hates you, because you treated his mom like shit and then you're fucking your secretaries. I don't know. I would think my dad was a creep too. You want to build a relationship with your son?
Totally.
Hang out with him. Her problem with it is she gets like insecure about why she's being rejected.
Yes. And he like gets mad at her, but then again, they solve it by having sex. She like sits on his face.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's not resolving anything. But this is where it gets, if you think any of the shit we talked about was crazy, no, this is crazy. So the next day they are at work, which they work out of his house.
They work out of his house. Of course they do, you know.
Because he needs to have sex
with
his
secretary. He's like, we'll be working, yeah.
They have sex, and he uses the remote vibrator. Call back to a few scenes ago. All of a sudden, Beau shows up, and it's going really well for some reason. Like, something's changed within him, and something has changed. Yeah.
He's a new guy now. He's great, actually. Yeah. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And it's going well, so she doesn't want to, like, interrupt. But she does realize halfway through that the vibrator is still up her pussy. Yeah. And then Beau needs to leave, so he goes to grab his car keys. But Emerson has put the vibrator remote next to the car keys, and he picks it up and presses it because he thinks that it's his car keys. It's like, why would you be pressing it inside the house? Like, some of the logistics don't make sense.
Sarah Cate really wanted this to happen. So she's like, how do I let me make this not even make sense? But we just really want a scene where the dad is watching his secretary having an orgasm with her ex-boyfriend who happens to be his son in the room. Okay.
And again, she's like immediately coming.
I know. And like, how did she not know the vibrator was inside of her vagina? Like, you couldn't tell?
Also, go to the bathroom and take it out.
It's not like a tampon. It's pretty thick in there. Like, what do you mean you didn't remember that you had it in there? And also, why was the remote?
You're walking around and stuff. Didn't she get them like water or something?
Yeah.
A Coke?
But again, Sarah Cate really needed this moment. She really needed this moment.
She did. So obviously they freak out, and like everyone freaks out, and they like basically break up. They don't talk for 8 days.
Like, didn't she could have hit it better. I would have been like, oh my God, I gotta go to the bathroom. Like, you know, like, why are you just standing there orgasming in front of them? Like,
or like, oh, I forgot that you had an important call. I need to go. We're at work.
Like, oh, I got a phone call and run. Like, you could have left, but she didn't.
But she didn't.
And they only wait 8 days to talk?
No, this is actually what pisses me off is she tells Sophie. I always hate the like friend of scene that has to, like, the supporting character that just has to hear about the main character's problems, which was Garrett for Emerson and Sophie for Charlie. But I'm like, it's fucking weird that you're telling your
16-year-old sister. Yeah.
This.
You're like,
yeah.
Bro, let me tell you. Yeah. Oh my God.
He's trying to apologize over text message, but she doesn't reply. Beau ends up going back to Emerson's house, and Emerson tells him everything, and it's like, I love this girl, and which is crazy.
imagine your dad is like, I love your ex-girlfriend.
And he's like, well, I'm not going to ever get away. I'm not going to ever get in the way of true love. So he goes to the rink and tells Charlie that Emerson loves her.
Stop even calling him by his name. It's like, so Bo goes to the rink to tell her that my dad loves you.
So go back to him.
So go back to him
now.
And also suddenly your dad isn't a pervert anymore, Bo. Like you had a whole problem with your dad being a perv, but now
I know, and you're just trying to over fuck your
21-year-old
even though again he's
but that's not
and
pervy.
You just made peace with it.
Yeah. Okay.
That made no sense to me. So Charlie's like, okay, it's time to talk to Emerson. So she goes to the club and she talks to Eden and she's like, I need a way to get Emerson's attention. So Eden's like, oh, watch me. So they go to one of the rooms. They start making out. He sees them on the camera and goes to stop them from doing this. And they're on the throne and he goes down on her while people are watching.
Okay, here we go again. This was, again, like the weirdest. Okay, she's 21. She doesn't know how to communicate. So she can't tell him like that she's mad. Suddenly this madam, we don't know how old the madam is. How old is Eden? Is she another 40-year-old woman? Then luring her into this private room where everybody's watching. And then Emerson, who's allegedly like protective of her and knows that she's like innocent or whatever, comes in angry and punishes her by eating her out.
Again, this is how they deal with their problems because when the scene's done, she just like walks away.
Yeah. Oh yeah. They don't even, and because they don't even resolve it. Like she's still mad at him.
No, she's still mad.
She was like, eating me out isn't the only thing to earn me back. Like I need more. I'm like, what is going on? Because her whole speech, he was like, how do I make it up to you with the orgasm? She's like, I need more than just an orgasm.
No fucking shit.
But what was the other thing she needed?
But what?
Nothing. The answer was nothing
else. So the next day she's at home and her dad shows up and he's like, I heard that you were at a sex club and you were a prostitute. And so like the whole crew shows up, Sophie, the mom, Emerson.
And because her dad is pissed. Her dad's like, one of my colleagues saw you having sex with a 40-year-old creep at the sex club.
Yes.
What the fuck are you doing? Like you cannot be doing that, which the dad
Jimmy
is right.
is demonized.
Yeah. And yes. They're like, oh my God.
But Jimmy is the bad guy.
And the mom is like,
well, he is for the transphobia, but yeah.
But I'm like, two things can be true at once. He is a homophobic, transphobic piece of shit. But also correct in that his 21-year-old daughter is having sex in public with a creepy 40-year-old man who owns a sex club. Yeah, that's a problem. Like, he's mad and he should be mad.
Emerson, they like start like physically fighting.
And like, how does Emerson just shows up? I don't know. He just also pulls up to the house like and is yelling at her dad. How old is her dad? Are you two?
Again, probably 40.
But it's also like, this is her father, you fucking weirdo. Like, the mom even pisses me off because the mom is like, I knew about it. I support it. Like, this is like, he loves her.
So crazy. But this seals the deal for Charlie. She's like, okay, you like stuck up for me. I love you. They make up and they have sex because that's all they have in common. And then we get an epilogue. This is crazy. So she's still working for him. And she gives him the blowjob during the meeting without the consent of the participants in the meeting. And then they go out for dinner, and it's just a big old happy family. Sophie, Gwen, Charlie, Emerson, and Bo.
Though, yeah. And then suddenly Bo and his dad are happy as can be. And he's like a great guy, I guess. At the end, had to highlight this version when the dad came. Because this was in their conversation. Dad, Charlie says, stealing his attention when he finally looks towards her, his eyes moist and apologetic. She continues, I'm not ashamed of who I'm dating or what I'm doing, and it may be hard for you to believe, but Emerson didn't do anything wrong. I'm tired of everyone acting like they know what's best for me. I'm 21 years old, and I'm not too stupid or too young to know what I want. Yes, you are. You're 21 years old.
No, literally.
You are too young.
The thing with 21-year-olds, no offense if you're 21 and listening, but like, the problem is that 21 you do think you know everything, but that shows how much little you know.
And then in the next page, we're hearing from Emerson, and he says, he's looking at his son, Bo, who's also 21. And he's like, it strikes me for the first time that my son is a man now. He's not a kid anymore. Not the same gangly teenager I remember, the little kid who looked up to me like I hung the moon in the sky. Bo is as much of a man as I am, and it's about time I stop treating him like a kid. No, Bo is not a man like you. You are 40, and your son is 21. He's not a man like you.
No, that makes no sense to me. Okay. Any other thoughts before we get to our roundtable discussion? I feel like we left it all out on the table.
I think we left it out all on the table. Yeah. And like I will say the other books, the one I
are so much better.
They are so much better. And the one in particular with Drake and I forget Halden, like the only married guy that works in the club and his wife, that was my favorite one. And I usually don't like the threesome stuff. What am I kidding? Who am I kidding? I just read Pucking Around, some book where it was like real aggressive.
Oh, I'm
real aggressive.
I've read Pucking Around.
But the other books are good. And like Emerson is in all the other books and he sucks in all of them. He's an asshole in every book. He like is always miserable and grumpy and Charlie is like a non-entity, but always a submissive. Like has no personality at all. Which just feels like that's probably why I hated this book.
You're so right that there was like no substance to her at all, or to him, or to any of these characters. Okay, let's get to our internet investigation. This is our cursory peruse of the internet of things you need to know. It's funny, I thought this book was like really popular, but there's like literally nothing. Sara Cate is a popular author.
Oh my God, she must be rich because she's written so many books and they're all like kinky. Like, I don't even look her up. Do you know how old she is, Sara Cate?
No. She says, I strive to be a taboo and forbidden romance.
I strive to be a taboo and yeah, okay.
Okay, I wonder why these are unanswered questions for the listeners. Yeah, it's problematic when the mom or the sister don't fucking bat an eye when the 40-year-old man walks into the skating rink.
Yeah, it's that the 40-year-old man who's her boss.
Yeah. And I think like the biggest wonder why that we just talked about is like we know nothing actually about these characters. And when they broke up, it's like she lost her job.
Yeah.
And I feel like that was like really brushed over.
Yeah. And problematic.
Like did she not work? Or and like did anyone at Salacious Players Club go like, hey, this girl's not working?
And like, was okay? Because it's also like, why do the women have to be written to be like first of all, I don't give a shit what her 16-year-old sister's opinion is on anything. The fact that they even involved her and she was talking to her 16-year-old sister about the kinky weird shit. Get your shit together, Charlie. Like, come on, find a friend your own age. Like, do not have any girlfriends. Yeah. Like, not a single friend. I think that was my biggest problem too. Was just like all of the women were written to be like Monica was his ex-secretary who was also very pro him fucking the 21-year-old secretary. And then Eden, like all of the women in this book were like very much.
And Garrett, well, like I know
like no one was like, this is a little bit like what you're doing is wrong.
Garrett was like, go get her, girl, like go get him, girl, or go get her. Okay, grapes and grumbles. These are nitpicky problems we have with the book. Yeah, he offers also. This is not discussed, I feel like, in their fights, but it's like he offers her the job to reconnect with Bo. She doesn't actually ever find that out, right?
No.
That's going to be a bombshell.
And like, why would he think that like fucking his son's ex-girlfriend is going to be how they reconnect? And then Bo just suddenly really does take a turn.
Lovers.
Bo becomes the greatest son. He's all on board. He's super pro into it. It's like,
it makes no sense. And then, oh my God, this really annoyed me when they were working like at his house and then like they had a meeting or like a phone call or something like that. And he's like, I'm so annoyed that like we can't be having sex right now. I'm like, you guys are at work.
Work. And like, how horny are you? Like, they're horny constantly. And it's to a point where you're right, like on every conference call. And then the one conference call where Garrett is like on the phone too. And they're like muting him or they're muting it so he can't hear. And he's like, I know you guys are fucking. I'm like, this is your coworker on a Zoom call. Wow.
Well, because let's talk. That's another gripe and grumble I have, because when she's giving him the blowjob, he mutes. And then he's like, he literally says to her, like, she says that he mutes. He doesn't go off camera. And then he's like, take my cock, like harder. Or like, he says something to her like with the words cock. And it's like, yeah, so everyone can read that on your, like everyone's lip reading as you look down at your crotch and say like, take it harder or like go deeper.
And he's like, I muted. At least I hit the mute button.
That's fucking insane. Okay, side character spotlight. This is our nomination for an unforgettable supporting character who deserves their due because sometimes the best characters aren't the main event. It has to be Garrett, right? I kind of like him.
Oh, no, I know
you don't like him.
No, because he's too supportive of Emerson. I like Drake. And I feel that his animosity towards Emerson from the jump, I liked. And that he was also like trying to lead her away, like...
Yeah, like flirting with her and stuff. Yeah.
And maybe because I did read ahead the other books, and he is a great.
I have a bad feeling I have read like all of these books because I really remember the couple, and I kind of remember Drake too.
And like they all three become a couple. They could become a throuple.
Oh no, maybe I don't. Maybe I didn't. But like it's so funny. Like when I was reading like a million books a year, it's like. I just don't remember.
Dude, same. I read so many smut books, and because you can read them so quickly that a lot of the time I'm like, sometimes I get through. I'm like, have I been here before? Like, but then sometimes they're just.
I was doing that with this book, 100%, because I think I've read it again. Like I've read another sex club series.
Well, they have so many of those like billionaire, like the billionaire boys club, the billionaire. Also, we gotta stop fucking. The billionaires are not sexy. Have we not figured that out yet? Like, billionaires look like Mark Zuckerberg. They look like Jeff Bezos. They look like Elon Musk. I'm sorry, is anyone trying to fuck?
They're never hot.
They're never hot. And they're billionaires. I think we all agree in 2025 are unethical pieces of shit. Like, I want to read a smutty book where the female character seduces a billionaire and then Luigi Mangione him, covers it up, and gets away with all his money. That's the kind of sexy smut I need, you know?
Literally.
And do they have like a billionaire? It's like also this guy's a billionaire, but he is also only giving her like $5,000, $10,000. Like he seems like a cheapskate to me.
He's cheap. He's only taken her on one date, and it was a punishment.
Yeah,
lunch.
A punishment lunch.
And no, 2 dates. A punishment lunch and a work event.
Yeah. No airplanes. They haven't gone on any trips, but
I would have liked to see them go out to dinner and talk.
Could you imagine?
No, I really couldn't. Okay, finally our sequel scoop. This is our tea on any upcoming sequel seasons and the general reception. As we said, Eyes on Me is book 2 of the 6-part series of the Salacious Players Club. The next one follows Garrett and Mia. And this was really exciting, but also kind of sad because I don't think it's happening anymore. But in 2023... the movie rights were picked up by Kiss and Tail Productions, who is like, it seems like a cool production company. They do like female gazy stuff and like thriller stuff. And Sara Cate announced it on her Instagram. That post has now since been deleted. And there is literally no updates since 2023.
I wonder why. And if I was owned a porn company, you know, if I'm whatever the names of a porn company is, it would be like a book like this to adapt it into a movie would be really hard for it to not be X-rated.
100%. That's why I am so confused at what they're going to do for Fourth Wing and Akatar. Not that those are even so smutty, but they do have graphic sex scenes. Like this one obviously has like 100 compared to Fourth Wing that has like 3 a book or whatever. Yeah. But it's like,
but still, like, because Fourth Wing is going to be on Amazon Prime, which does not make me feel confident that it's going to deliver what it needs to. Because like I feel like in order to really be the smut level you need to be at, it has to be HBO.
Totally, but that's why I think that this would end up being a 50 Shades.
Yeah, and 50 Shades. Yeah. 50 Shades sucked because they let the author be too involved in writing the script. Because I think that script could have been really,
really good.
Because originally, because she writes a book, but like writing a book is different from writing a script. And she like made all these stipulations where she had to be in control of the script. So then she would change things that work in a book but don't work on screen. And I think that's why the movie ended up like not delivering. And like this case, if you own if you're a female like porn studio owner, this would be the greatest book to adapt and like find good porn actors. I don't know, like female friendly porn, is that a thing that could happen? I just don't know how it could possibly be. And you're putting these actors in precarious situations at a sex club. They're all going to have to be naked. They're working at a sex club where there's sex happening all of the time.
It's going to have to be HBO or kind of, honestly, it could be like Netflix with like 365.
Oh yeah, Netflix too. Yeah,
Sex Life. Yeah,
that, like 365 was a perfect example. I think they did it. They got away with it, and that movie felt like I was watching porn, but it was great. What was the plot? I don't remember, but I was like, oh, this was made for women.
Don't know.
Who would the actors like? Who's a 40-year-old actor like that could play that guy?
Theo James.
Oh, Theo James. Yes.
Fuck, he's so fine.
But then who's the 21-year-old actress? Jenna Ortega?
Like, I kind of pictured, like, just because Honora has been in such a moment. I don't think she's 21, but I kind of was picturing Mikey Madison, to be honest.
Yeah, she would work. How old is she? She's young.
She's 25. And Theo James is
40, I think.
40. Yeah. Okay, I kind of slayed with that.
Yeah, and Theo James is like a hot.
He's like so fucking
He is who
fine.
I picture, and every time even when I'm reading Fourth Wing, and I know it doesn't work in the age, but like Theo James is just that guy who I always picture mostly in male characters.
Because of Divergent.
And like it used to be Henry Cavill until he became a weirdo. He used to be like my go-to. But I feel like after Superman he fell off, you know?
I always forget about Theo James, like, and then I see a picture of him and I'm like, no, that's my man.
That's my man.
I always forget. And then, cause like, yeah, like when I think of like hot Hollywood actors, I think of like Jeremy Allen White. Ew. Or like Jacob. Jacob
Elordi?
I know. Or like Jacob Elordi.
I can't judge because I mean, I love Austin Butler and nobody else. Like I do feel embarrassed by that. But like Charlie Hunnam, also hot. I think he's a little bit too. I think he's over
Charlie
40.
Hunnam. And he's like, he seems too like rugged. Like I see like a clean cut guy for
Theo James would be
for
perfect.
Emerson, but he's so
Charlie
fine.
Hunnam was supposed to be the guy in 50 Shades of Grey. He was supposed.
I was just gonna say, or like someone like Jamie Dornan or something.
If 50 Shades was Charlie Hunnam instead, I think I would have enjoyed that movie a lot more.
Absolutely.
But also we're deprived. There's not that many. When I like try to rack my brain of like when I'm reading a book and I try to insert a different hot male actor, they don't make. There's just.
I know. I kind of also just recent from Akatar. I also just kind of sometimes plug his like fan art almost in
the
like,
AI images of what I know. It's so sad because I'm like, oh, these look better than anyone that exists. Like, so who would be? But the AI women too. I'm like, well, how can we compete with these perfect AI women? We can't.
Literally. But okay, I want people to tell us who they're fan casting for praise, but then also who they picture when they're reading books.
And also what they think about fisting if they're into it. And anyone who's ever used nipple clamps, let us know.
Weigh in on the nipple clamps. On the nipple clamps, please. Okay, Denise, can you tell the listeners where they can find you and anything else you want to plug? Because we didn't even talk about your Instagram.
My Instagram is not worth talking about whatsoever.
Smutty Covers?
Oh, that one. Yeah, Smutty Covers. Yes, please follow me on Smutty Covers, where I post some real covers of books and then some AI generated smutty covers of books, and you have to guess which one's real and which one's fake. And let me tell you, you'd be shocked at the ones that are real.
It's so fun.
Did you read the book or did you see the book about the 3 Christmas trees that are like 3 men that were cursed by a witch to be Christmas trees? And this woman goes to the Christmas tree lot and like they see her and they turn into men and they all fuck and then she falls in love with them and then she takes the Christmas trees home. Oh yeah, that's a real book. So if you want to learn more fun things like that, yes, please follow @SmuttyCovers on Instagram.
I'm obsessed with it. One book, like subgenre that we haven't covered on RTBR is like sentient, like the s'more book or like
there's a corn on the cob book.
Pumpkin.
Fucking corn, a piece of a corn. His dick is corn.
Totally, totally. So we haven't got there yet, but I feel like I gotta throw in one just for the lulz.
Yeah. Well, you did read the Blue Ice Planet Barbarians.
Yeah, but like they have human faces and like
but tentacles.
Yeah, that's true. I know.
I also just want to tell everyone who's listening who not that they care, but my day job is I'm a sports journalist. What business do I really have? But I have to work around men all day, so I think maybe part of that is why. Because real men are the worst, but fictional men, God, it's nice to come home after a long day of working with men in sports and then getting to read about like men in sports who are actually great.
I will say though, like I basically don't talk to any straight men, like at work, in my life, anything. And so then the only interactions I've had with straight men have been books until recently. It's better that way. When I tell you the absolute letdown. Whoo, man. And it's like, the bleakness. We are in the trenches.
Trenches. And honestly, because I have a book club with my friends here, and like a lot of my guy friends, when they found out about the books we were reading, like their reactions are like, oh God, so you're just reading porn. Oh my God, you guys are just in. I'm like, you motherfuckers, all you want to see on TV are boobs. Yeah, maybe if men read books about like romance, we wouldn't live in such a hellscape of sadness where women have to fake orgasms all the time.
100%. It's so sad.
It is so sad. But anyway, Sarah Cate, no hate. You read all your books. I enjoyed every minute of it. Yeah. I enjoyed every minute of the book, even though I had a lot to complain about. I read it all, and I would suggest people to read it, actually. I'm like, it's fun and it's easy.
I read the book in like 3 nights, like over like 2 sittings. It's also, I will say, it's so nice after my last read was Onyx Storm, which is so long and so detailed that it was so nice. Like in this book, truly nothing happens.
Yeah.
Like there's no like events or like big things really. So it's like, it was so nice to read like a 300-page book that nothing happens. Like truly.
Nothing, but there's so much to discuss, but nothing happens, which is, I don't know how that worked out, but it did.
Okay. Thank you so much for coming on. Everyone go follow Denise at Smutty Covers.
Yes, please do. And thank you so much for having me. I love talking about smut and shaming people's kinks.
Me too. Yeah, let's leave it at that. That's so perfect. And that's the story of praise. Thank you so much for listening, and thank you to Denise for joining me on today's show. I wanted to say so sorry for being MIA over the last 2 months. It's just been really hectic over here, and I'm happy to share more about that, as episodes come out. But spoiler alert, From Blood and Ash will be out next week because it's already recorded, and then I've got The Deal, Deep End, and Skin of the Night coming your way. Make sure you're following me on Instagram at Ready to Be Romanced, and of course, subscribe and leave a rating and review. Tell everybody how much you missed me. You can suggest a book or leave a voicemail via the links in the episode show notes. Our next episode is From Blood and Ash. Until then, happy reading. For Ready to Be Romanced, I'm Tori. Goodbye.